When are you gonna let me see my grandchild?
My fiancé's mother frequently barges into the room where I live with my fiancé. Since I'm exhausted dealing with her, I ignore her. But she just keeps on pestering me.
When is your period? Of course you keep track of them, don't you?
Yes.
You guys making love? You have to think carefully. When are you gonna have a baby?
Is it really necessary to be told about such things? I'm not even married yet. It makes me sick.
Oh, say this, don't you? But if you betray me, you'll have to pay for it.
I couldn't take it anymore. I took a deep breath and decided to answer with determination. My name is Nancy. I am an office worker who turned 30 this year. I'm not married yet. However, I am dating a man with whom I intend to get married. I joined my workplace 2 years ago as a mid-career hire. My boss at the time introduced me to Joff and we started dating. Joff, my boyfriend, is very kind and generous. He accepts me as I am. I am now officially engaged to Joff. We moved in together early on in our relationship, so there will be no major changes in our lives. However, it is a joyous and sobering feeling to finally be together as husband and wife. Neither Joff nor I are particularly interested in having children. We were happy to finally be able to be together as a couple, and we were excited. Then, one day, Joff and I went to his parents' house to greet his parents. We had finished meeting my parents last weekend. I have visited Joff's parents several times before. Joff is an only child, so his parents are the only family he has. Before I started my relationship, Joff's grandmother was living with them, but she is now deceased. Joff's parents are also good-natured people, and I had a good feeling about them. So, I was not particularly nervous on the day I went to greet them, but rather I was looking forward to it.
Oh my god, Joff. Come on in. Please make yourself at home.
Joff's mother welcomed us with a smile. Joff's father was waiting for us in the living room. He also had a smile on his face. Joff and I gave them the gifts we had brought and told them that we were now officially engaged. Both of them were happy, treating me like their daughter. After that, we finished greeting each other, and the four of us watched TV and talked about nothing but trivial matters. It was like we were a real family. After a while, Joff's father got up from his seat. He went out into the yard to finish the weeding today.
Ugh, I'm sorry you're here and he's outside.
Joff's mother sighed in exasperation. Oh no, please don't worry about it. I'm the one who's barging in. Joff's mother stared into my eyes for a full 5 seconds before opening her mouth.
You're going to be Joff's wife soon.
I didn't know if she was talking to me or was talking to herself because of her soft tone. Then she continued,
You're gonna become Joff's wife. Do you realize that? Why don't you stop working and show me the grandchildren soon? That's what I hate about young women these days. A woman's job is to have children and take care of the family. I don't think you, Nancy, understands that at all.
For a moment I did not understand what was being said. She was looking at me coldly. Her gentle and good-natured manner completely changed. I'm gonna keep working after we get married. And I'm not gonna have children. Joff agrees with me on that. Joff's mother looks at me even more sternly when I manage to say that. She is a different person from the one who welcomed me into her home.
Why do you say that? It's not like you're incapable of having children, is it? Then go ahead and have the baby. My friend's daughter-in-law is a fine woman. She has a boy and a girl. Every time I see her, she brags about it. And I can't help but envy her. Well, anyway, why don't you show me the face of one of my grandchildren?
I'm troubled by such one-sided comments. I am not married yet, but I wonder if this is how it is with wives and mother-in-laws. My grandmother on my father's side died before I was born. I do know what a typical mother-in-law is like. I glanced at Joff, wondering how to answer the question. But Joff was just watching TV with a look on his face that pretended not to hear anything. It seemed that he was not going to touch the subject. Then there was no point in getting angry or arguing with him here. I ended up giving a vague, well, I guess so answer. Soon after, Joff's father came back from the yard. Joff's mother returned to her usual smiling face and offered him another cup of coffee. Feeling somewhat uncomfortable with her quick change of attitude, I politely declined and decided to go home with Joff right away. From that day on, Joff's gentle attitude changed. Before, we had been trying to coordinate the division of household chores so that one of us would not have to do more than the other. But Joff began to push the housework onto me, saying, "It's a training to become a wife." He also woke me up late at night when I was sound asleep and made me go to a store close by to buy something to eat for the night. I was puzzled by Joff's unprecedented behavior. "What's wrong with you, Joff? You used to be so much nicer to me."
Nothing. I've just been too easy on you. You're going to marry into my family, so you're going to have to be more firm with me. Do you understand?
He sounded like his mother. Perhaps he was inspired by his own mother. It's not like, "We're going to live with your family, right?" We've been getting along fine together until now. Why can't it be the way it was? Joff snickered at my comment as if I had made a fool of him.
It was because of me, right?
I was shocked, to say the least. I had thought that we had been supporting each other, but Joff's true feelings were the opposite. The worst was yet to come. One night, right before I was about to fall asleep, Joff came. We had been sleeping together, but from his attitude, I had been sleeping on the living couch. "What? What's wrong?" I rubbed my heavy eyelids and asked Joff.
I don't want to disappoint Mom.
He suddenly said so and got on me. "Stop it." We agreed on not having children. I slapped Joff on the cheek as he continued to force himself onto me. Finally, he cooled down a little and returned to the bedroom holding his cheek. I wondered if I could really marry Joff and be happy. I couldn't help but think about it. A few days later, it was a holiday, so I woke up later than usual and was boiling water for coffee. Suddenly, the intercom rang. I had no plans for anyone to come over, so I checked the monitor to see who the visitor was. It was Joff's mother. Puzzled by the unexpected visit, Joff came out of his bedroom and went to the front door. He opened the door and welcomed her.
Nancy, you weren't sleeping just until now, were you? You're gonna be a wife. You have to behave yourself. Besides, it's not good for your unborn child's education if you're such a lazy bum. It's not good for your unborn child's education if you're such a lazy bum.
Joff's mother came into the living room without hesitation and began to ramble on again. "What can I do for you?" I asked Joff's mother, and Joff answered for her. "I called her over to see what level of housework you do. Make sure you get taught properly." "What? Why would you ask her to do that?" "That's not normal." Joff's mother started pacing the living room without regard. As she did so, she started to say something outrageous again.
When is your period, by the way? Of course you keep track of them, don't you? Are you guys making love? You have to think carefully. You never know when you're going to have a baby.
"Do you think it's rude to ask such private questions?" I couldn't help but to argue with Joff's mother. She glared at me with a blatantly sullen expression on her face.
I think you're the rude one. You don't talk to your in-laws that way. Are you really gonna marry Joff?
Then Joff's mother smiled as if she had just thought of a good idea. Then she opened her mouth again.
Oh, if you don't have a child within a year of marriage, you will pay alimony. That's the condition of marrying Joff. Do you understand? Joff's mother said with a pompous look on her face.
I nodded my head in agreement.
I was truly dumbfounded. Joff's behavior was unbelievable, and his mother's behavior was the worst. I didn't care about anything anymore. With that single-mindedness, I replied, "Yes, I understand." Both of them laughed in spite of themselves. Wait until they can't laugh anymore.
Joff's mother was satisfied with that and quickly left.
I saw her off and went back to my bedroom.
I picked up my smartphone and made a call to someone. A few moments later, I gathered Joff's parents and himself to discuss the marriage. The meeting was held at home. Both Joff and his mother were there. Both Joff's father and mother showed up smiling and in a good mood. I took them into the living room and served them tea.
I think it should be a fancy wedding. My friend's son said he spent a lot of money on it.
No. I think casual wedding is the trend now. I'm sure Nancy would love to wear a casual wedding dress.
Where are you going for your honeymoon? Abroad or domestic? Either way, I'm expecting a honeymoon, baby.
Make sure you're both comfortable with it.
The Joffs are excited to talk about their wedding. The atmosphere was friendly. I opened my mouth just as the conversation was winding down. Well, What in the world have you guys been talking about?
Joff looked at me with his mouth wide open.
What? About your marriage with Joff, right? We got together because you wanted to discuss about your marriage.
I'm sorry, I think you misunderstood me. The reason why I wanted to talk about marriage was because I'm not going to marry a man with a mother like yours. When I said that, both Joff and Joff's mother said, "What?"
The only one who was calm asked, "What do you mean?"
That's a fair question. Your wife said to me, if I couldn't have children after a year of marriage, I would have to pay her alimony. And you said, "Yes, I understand," when I said so.
I did say that, but it meant I understand your condition and I didn't agree. There is no one in the world who would accept those ridiculous conditions.
As I said that, Joff got up, hitting the table.
Trey, apologize to my mom.
I'm not sorry and I'm not gonna marry you. I stood up as well. Then I pulled my smartphone out of my pocket and called someone. "Hello, please take it from here. The front door is open."
Joff saw this and wrinkled his brow. You don't have manners calling someone under this situation.
As Joff was saying this, I heard the front door open. Soon after, the living room door was opened as well. It was my boss from the company Joff and I work for.
I heard all about it. You two are pathetic as human beings. You should be ashamed of yourselves for trying to manipulate Nancy into doing what you want. The color of the Joff family's face turned blue.
In fact, this boss is the one who introduced Joff to me. And I learned after we started dating that his boss and Joff's parents were senior. And I learned after we started dating that his boss and parents were senior and junior colleagues. He was able to get a job at his current company because he was introduced by him. Joff's family owes a debt of gratitude to his boss.
You should at least straighten up your wife and son's behavior. What is family for?
With these words, the boss patted Joff's father on the shoulder a few times. Joff's father nodded deeply. Joff's mother, on the other hand, still refused to admit that she was wrong.
That being said, isn't it normal to want to see your grandchildren's faces? Joff, you understand, right?
After she said that, the boss scolded her.
You still say that? You're just being selfish. You're old enough to know better. Shame on you.
Joff's mother looked depressed, and her shoulders slumped. So did Joff.
You finally get it? Then you all owe Nancy an apology. Do it here and now.
Perhaps encouraged by their boss's insistence, Joffs all apologized together. After that, my engagement to Joff never happened. Naturally, we stopped living together, and I decided to move closer to work. Joff has been very irritable since we broke up. Since we work together, we have to hear each other's stories and see each other's faces. To vent his frustration, Joff has started to lash out at his junior colleagues. Furthermore, he seemed to be unable to concentrate on his work and kept making serious mistakes. And why did Joff and I break off our engagement? The reason for this had spread to the workplace from somewhere. Joff was no longer able to stay at the company and eventually resigned after less than 6 months. The industry we work in is small. He is now looking for a job while working as a day laborer. Even if he could find a new job, he would not be able to expect the same salary as before. Then about his mother, she was scolded by her husband and was restricted from going outside, making sure she does not come close to me. Furthermore, there are rumors in the neighborhood that Joff's mother snubbed his wife and kicked her out of the house. Now the neighbors, who used to be good friends with her, are now keeping distance. I imagine they must be feeling very small in the neighborhood. As for me, since Joff and I broke up, I have been devoting myself more and more to my work. I thought it might be a good idea to continue living as a bachelorette. But then I met a man and found a new lover. He was understanding of my work and sympathetic to the fact that I did not want children. His mother was also very understanding and kind, and she told me to do what we wanted. It took a long way, but we finally found happiness. The key to a good life is not to impose only your own opinions, but to respect and support each other's ideas.